We've got Dave Griffiths, who's going to talk a little bit about pawn compliance. So how are you doing today, Dave?
I do well, thank you.
Very good. We're glad to have you here. I'm excited about this one. I about jumped out of my skin when I found out that someone like you existed. This is a topic that, my clients, when I asked, I'm like, who do you use for compliance? Your name kept coming up. And so I had to reach out to you, and I'm definitely glad I did. So I'm excited about having you on board with this, and I want to hear a little bit about your background. Tell us. I know you've been in the business for a long time, but I'd love to hear from you.
Well, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and for years I managed steakhouse restaurants, and I did even nursing homes for a while. And I got tired of making money for other people. So in '96, I opened my own pawn shop in California with some friends, and then after that realized I wanted to do it by myself and moved all the way to Oregon like every other Californian, and took it from there. So did that for 12, 15 years, got involved in the industry, heavily involved in the Oregon Pawnbroker Association board, secretary, treasurer, involved in helping with legislation at the state level, involved in the Washington Pawnbrokers Association, and to some degree member in California and help them with their programs that they do as well. So I got away from the pawn business itself and got out of it and into the compliance part because I saw that there was really not a lot of people doing that, and there's less than a handful of us across the country that do it. So that's an entrepreneur's dream right there.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, there's nobody I don't think that specializes just in pawn. And to me, that's a big deal with the way banks are treating us lately. They think that we're, payday lenders and that kind of stuff. They think we're really high risk. And as you know, I've gotten a lot of phone calls from our clients that are saying, hey, my bank has given me 30 days to find another lender. And that's problematic. That's a big problem. So I'm excited about that piece of it for you as well. And it's great that you love what you do because it's not something that the pawnbrokers love. So when you can come in and bring in that passion, that's awesome. So how many events do you attend typically per year?
Well, I'm always at Oregon and Washington's events. I try and hit at least one of the California events, depending on my schedule, and then at least one of the majors. So this year will be NPA, Pawn Expo, and then our event in Clearwater. Hopefully next year I can throw Dixie in the mix. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah, I know that's awesome, and I know you're gradually moving east. So it's always fun to be on the West Coast and move east with the time changes and all that kind of fun stuff. Well, we're excited, definitely excited to have you moving east. And I know you've already had some of our clients that you've worked with on the East Coast. So it's definitely not out of the mix. And Dixie's a great convention. We weren't able to attend this year, but that's definitely a good one. So what made you think about this event and, why it would be good, why you wanted to be part of it? We'd love to hear that. And so would the pawnbrokers.
Having been a part of the different events that I've gone to, it seems like there's so many things that you're trying to juggle. And on the smaller events, you're trying to deal with agendas that you're dealing with, driving legislation in your state, and fundraising to keep your association alive. So the smaller events tend to be focused on that more than anything. Then you get to the bigger events that are now doing a lot of fundraising. They're trying to get the vendors in there. You've got all these breakout sessions, and you have to pick and choose between which sessions you go to. And I just thought, this is really great. You don't have all the extra stuff that's going on. You still get to network with people. But in this case, you're talking about things that are full spectrum. This is everything that people are thinking about. Everybody gets in the pawn business and goes, this is cool. I could make money. This is really, I got customers that drove Snap-on trucks. And one of their friends told them, well, yeah, I'd be a pawnbroker. And so they did. And they struggle. It's not the same as driving a Snap-on truck. So you've got to, and these guys don't have any idea what they're going to do, how they're going to sell their business when they get to that point, what they're doing with all the money that's going through their hands right now. How do they best put themselves up for retirement? That's just right now we're so focused on making money and keeping up with synthetic diamonds and all that's going on, everything that's changing. How do you even think about all this other stuff? And then that compliance gets into that part too. So this allows people to sit and just take a breath and listen to what's going on around them. They don't have to fight for which one of the events do they want to go to. They can hear every single person speak. And I think what's neat about it is these people are here because they want to know more. They all are of the same mind. When you get to a smaller convention or like the state stuff, you're getting a conglomeration of everybody, and they're all of different mindsets, and they're kind of spending their time looking for who is just like them that they can talk to, or that's their networking is that. This is going to give everybody is kind of at the same mindset that's coming into this event. I think that's exciting to be part of.
Yeah, and you touched on some key points there that I'm excited about. You know, there is no competing speakers, so to speak. I mean, we're going to be at the Midwest Convention, and one of the things that I dislike about that, although I think it's one of the best conventions out there, is that I'll be presenting at the same time as somebody else. And so that's a challenge because sometimes you both might have a great topic, and you as the pawnbroker have to choose between who you want to visit, and that's not a good thing. You know, you want as much education as you can be. So our format is also going to be very different. There's going to be no breakout sessions. Everybody's going to be in the same session all at once, getting the same education with the opportunity to collaborate. And in fact, we're going to be collaborating as we start putting these presentations together. We're going to be including a lot of collaboration at the tables and people talking and working together. And I think you're right. As often as these folks get together, they also need to have some education that's not in the sense of, hey, I'm going to give you this so that I can sell you my services. It's just based upon education. So I appreciate your thoughts on that. And, you know, from a closing standpoint, you know, I'd love to know what you think as far as, you know, how is this going to change the industry, or how do you see it shaping the industry or changing in that way?
Well, I think you see attendance at a lot of these events going up that are being offered across the country. And I think there's people that are out there looking, and I think things keep coming up. In my particular world, like you had mentioned earlier, it's the idea of the compliance piece where, you know, banks are shutting people down. And, you know, that never happened before. We didn't have the synthetic diamond problem before. We didn't have a lot of these issues. We didn't have the brick and mortar issues that we have now that Lynn and his group are taking care of. You know, these are things that they keep coming up, and the pawnbroker who was doing this 50 years ago, 40 years ago, they have got to change the way they do things, or they're going to be out of business. So this gives them that place to go to. And I think I think they're going to have to use a mix of both, but I think ultimately the education piece is what people do come to. It's like what they said before was, you get to see your vendors, you get to see your friends and all that, but what you come away with is the learning piece, and most of that is the education piece. It's not about fundraising and all that. This is going to give people an opportunity to just really focus on what is being said, and you've created such a great cross-section of topics. And some of your, you know, and one of your attenders has incredibly gray hair, unfortunately. I think that'd be you. Yeah, it would be. But the idea is, you know, you've got so many different topics that apply to every single person here. And we're going to talk about risk aversion and all that. Everybody brings it comes from a different place, but they're all going to leave with the same information and how they can apply it to themselves. They're not going to get that with all of the other white noise that goes on at the other events. So I just really think this is going to make a change for everybody.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's going to be totally different. And the reason why we did it this way is we actually do it this way in other industries that we consult in, and we've been incredibly successful at educating the business owner. And not only that, but showing them and connecting them with people that can help them with their need. If it's not something that I can do, like in the case of compliance, I can refer them to you, and they can rest assured that you're the best in the business and there's no kickbacks included in that. That's not what we're about. So I appreciate your time, Dave. I'm excited about your presentation, and just having you as part of this group, I think, has been phenomenal so far, and I'm excited about more of that. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you for being on here, and we're going to hear more from you in the future, definitely. So.